Almighty Creator of all that is, we are thankful for today. It is sacred. I say that because so long as there is life, it is sacred. Every day, a gift of life. There is an insidiousness that crept into our reality long ago, but now we express gratitude for eyes to see and expanding hearts. Call it consciousness, to feel. We are fighting against a death cult, a darkness and evil unimaginable to many, if not most. For most of us are good people, kind-hearted, generous even. Although given to selfishness, we care. We're compassionate by nature and we contribute when we see need. This battle of good versus evil has a positive outcome, for we know light vanishes darkness. Caring. So we proceed with eyes and hearts open to caring, hearing, sharing, so we can brighten another day with our increasing light. And we thank you, beloved Creator, for truth and love and for this sacred day. And so it is.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. This is going out to our sheriffs and their deputies. A lot of deputies and sheriffs are ex-military. And I'm ex-military too. And it's a mindset. And we all get our mindset about the military from where we approached it. I did 3 years, 11 months, and 28 days in the United States Navy, 1956 to 1960. I was an AT-2. I was in the exact break-off time from when you could make slick arm first or first class petty officer in 4 years. Actually do it in like 3.5, and you were a first class for the last half of the last year. So E5. When I was leaving, they were just making 8s and 9s. We had 7s. That was your chief. So where you're coming at in this thing is I got discharged, I thought. And I said one time to a woman that's knowledgeable, I was discharged. And she says, oh, yeah, maybe not. I said, what? And she says, how can that be? And blah, blah, blah. It seems that she knows that unless you have written proof of it, you were not discharged. When you look at your DD 214, it says honorable. And I thought, yep, honorable discharge. I'm done with them. The fine print down at the bottom says I served honorable. Okay. So you look at the form some more, and I was transferred to a inactive reserve squadron in San Diego. And I knew that for 2 years. And then my 6 years of obligated service to the military would be done. And that 2 years arrived and I was out, I thought, but not true. They kept me in that reserve squadron all those years, 50. I was inactive reserve in the reserve squadron, not discharged. So I started arguing with the U.S. Navy after I thought maybe I was still in and I was trying to be out. And they kept on passing me from one place to another, St. Louis to Millington, from Millington to DC, and one place and another. It took 3 years, but I finally got a letter from the Navy saying, yeah, you're discharged. Until that time, I wasn't. You have to have the paperwork done. I mentioned that to several people that had been in the military and I knew quite well, and they said, what difference does it make? Well, it doesn't make any difference if you don't think there's a difference. If you have accepted the de facto as the truth, and that was just a mistake, well, then that's where you are. A lot of people, you see them in the government, did, 12 and 13 years in the military and then quit the military to do something else. It seems like getting the CIA or the FBI or the Marshal Service and be in the military still. But in a different way. You can't take the Marine out of the Marine. Wherever you put him, he's going to be a Marine. They're really good at that. The problem is they think that the de facto that they're involved with, that poorly done constitutional military law, Lieber Code form of governance, they think that that's correct. That's how it should be. They never actually read the documents and comprehended what they said, and they didn't realize that it is a consistent form of lying, creating a de facto in your brain so that when somebody like Donald John Trump does a whole lot of things you think are correct, and then he screws up big time, and you forgive him his screw up. That's not how it's done. You're responsible for the good, and you're also responsible for the bad. And that's where we are with our sheriffs. A lot of them are military, ex-military. One of the could have been Caprice. One of the female sheriffs I was looking at, she's ex-Navy, just like me, but lots younger with an entirely different perspective. But she's still trapped in the de facto. And she thinks that the de facto is probably correct and that I'm wrong, and she doesn't quite know how. Maybe I'm putting my thoughts onto her. But she is unable to provide her bona fides, and she should be able to. Just like the Navy should be able to provide me with proof that I was discharged and not documents showing something else. The something else was what is true and what I thought was not true, and I had to have the document from them to establish truth, not take it on. What did Reagan say? Oh, I believe you, but we'll just verify. Okay. Yes, we have 31 sheriffs, and Washington County has a battalion of deputies and jailers and bailiffs in the 3 different jurisdictions or venues that they operate in. The ones that deal with people are deputies, I believe. They are the ones that are deputized into the posse to be with the sheriff. Yes, trust but verify. Absolutely correct. So we have sheriffs that are doing the wrong thing with impunity. And I think it's arrogance. They think they're right and they don't want to talk about it. Yeah, there's probably a lot of money involved too, but part of the job of being a sheriff, when you read ORS 206 and then you read the county HR requirements to be sheriff, when you read all of those, even before you get to the oath and the bondability, when you read that stuff, they have to establish and be responsible for the recorder to sell property that has to be sold. And they probably have to be advised of property that is being bought so that it is done properly. They have an obligation to do those sorts of things as the office of sheriff. Somebody there has to be authorized to do it. And you have to have these people take an oath, a promise to themselves and all of us they're going to do a straight job, because they can really screw people up and hurt things if they get over officious and want to be that guy that's going to fix everything or whatever it is that they're doing that shouldn't be done, because they're there for our peace, safety, and happiness. We're not there for yours. Have you ever picked up the phone and called the VA, and after being on the telephone to the Veterans Administration for a half an hour, you realize they designed the telephone system for their benefit, not for the veterans' benefit? No, 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 we don't want to do that. That's what the sheriff's office is being run like from our point of view. You don't stop old ladies on the highway traveling with their mother and arrest them for a traffic infraction and leave the mother in the car stranded on the side of the road and take the woman to the sheriff's or the police station and strip search her and eventually cut her loose. You don't do that kind of stuff if you're a proper sheriff. And you don't permit that kind of stuff to be done by other deputies or cops. You just don't do that shit. But it happens. Then we have another lady driving down the highway, and we know, and the cops know, and the sheriffs know, and the Oregon State Police know, and the DPSST knows. In reality, it's commerce, and we're not in commerce, and they know we're not in commerce, and they enforce commerce on us for their paycheck. All of the courts in Article 7 amended on Oregon are for-profit courts. They're there to make money off of you. Now, some amount of money needs to be made. Businesses and corporations and partnerships and sole proprietors have to make contracts, and they're going to do whatever, build a tall building or whatever they're going to do. It has to be written out, has to be done, has to be enforced. People do lie, cheat, and steal, and we need protection. All of that's true. Money has to be raised, but you don't raise money on people that are not capable of withstanding the tax, such as old second generation on the family farm. Grandpa or grandma is still alive and still active, but not productive. And the kids are in their 60s and 70s, and the grandkids have left, and the farm doesn't make much money, and you want to raise the taxes 3%. Fuck off. We're not accepting it anymore. The sheriff has to pick up and do the job. Now, I was driving down Murray Boulevard, riding. I wasn't driving. I haven't driven in a long time. And travel is probably the word I should use. And here's a whole parking lot, a fleet of SUVs that are painted up for the Washington County Sheriff's Department. And I thought, what a lovely place to go with a handful of our Oregon journals and hand them out at shift change. There's a battalion of them. I don't know if they all work. No, they can't all work out of there, but there's a battalion of deputies. The former sheriff, Pat Garrett, told me so. Now, that's one county. Some counties have one deputy. I found that out yesterday. Curry County has a sheriff and one deputy, I was told. I don't know what's true. I put in telephone calls and messages and emails and echoes of crickets. So what we're doing is the best we can. And I suppose that the sheriffs and the deputies think they're doing the best they can also. Now, the best you have to offer varies from day to day and time to time, and for a million reasons I can't even believe. But there's a baseline that you have to establish, and you have to be knowledgeable enough to understand the baseline, to take the oath, and then keep it. If you want to be a crook, you should be turned in by the Brotherhood of the Thin Blue Line. But if the guy's really a stand-up guy and everything, but he likes to do whatever it is, stop old ladies and harass them on the street, give black guys parking tickets or speeding tickets, or whatever their hang-up is, the rest of the blue line goes, he's really good except for, and well, and they forgive it. They acquiesce, and evil wins, and here we go again. You gotta self-correct. We can't self-correct you. It's a mindset. We have to have sheriffs and deputies that take a proper oath. You can look up what proper means, and you can take the proper constitution, the correct ones, and you look at them and you see the difference and you understand the fraud. You understand if you take an oath to Article 7 amended, you're in de facto. You're in a lie. You're lying, cheating, and stealing to some degree in that law form. We won't accept it. We know how it got there. We will have Article 7 original, without the fraud and without the deviation. That's how it's going to be. We have to do it with you. We cannot be your enemy. You cannot be our enemy. We are you. You are us. And we have to do it with the proper oath to the proper constitutions, reasonable, abiding by the ORS 206, and you got to do what the county human resource department says and fulfill your contract to get your paycheck. We understand all of that. And you have to do it with the laws of nature and of nature's God included. And that includes Article 1, Section 1, all power is inherent in the people. And if the guy makes a U-turn where you don't think he should, It's not your problem, Deputy. Oh, yeah. Color of law. Yeah, they know about color of law. They have Article 7 amended and Article 7 original, and they know color of law on the state level. It's also color of law on the federal level, but we're doing Oregon. That's all. Remove Kate Brown, remove Tina Kotek, what do you call her? Tina Tampon. Uh, the 89 that stayed in session while we were locked out, they have to be removed. They cannot hold a position of honor. That has to go. We don't have, so we are us, and life gets in the way. We do our very best most of the time. And it's just like the four agreements say, it's going to vary, but you have to have the proper oath. God has to be included. If you are an atheist, then you do not have any rights, because rights are established by God and they are enforced or guaranteed by the Constitution. And if you don't have any God, then you don't have any rights for the Constitution to support you. You only have privileges. You cannot stand with men and women. You have to stand over there with the all cap version of your name where the atheists hang out, where the law form of he who can be deceived, let him, you're over in that group. Another group that can't stand with us are Muslims that have Islam, because Islam says that wherever you go, you have to take Islam with you, and you can kill or you can convert those others that you encounter. And women are chattel, so you don't have to worry about them. And you can also collect a fee if you don't want to kill or convert them. That's what Islam says. And I have a Fourth Amendment that says I am guaranteed a constitutional Republican form of government. I do not have to have Islam. However, if you're a Muslim, you must have Islam and you must force it on me. So, Congress, doing one of their intelligent things, passed the McCarran-Walters Act. The McCarran-Walters Act, 1952, said if you are a member of an organization that espouses, I think is the word, the overthrow of our constitutional Republican form of government with something else, such as communism or Islam, then you are not allowed on the land and soil of our jurisdiction. We are not going to let you cut our throats on our own land. That's where you have sway. In Tripoli, we already fought you in Tripoli and wrote a song about it. We don't mix well with Muslims because Muslims cannot be with us. Go take a look at Dearborn, Michigan. There's a perfect example. So, back to our sheriffs. We're working on 9 right now. We're making some headway, but it's 2 steps forward and 1 back. We don't get to make big jumps. We haven't made a big jump ever. In 6.5 years, we make steps and pushes. And this is where we are. We are with an Article 3, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Court of Record, without rebuttal. There isn't any others. They don't have them in any other state or territory. They could, but they don't. They only have de facto. We have actually established de jure. Wow. There is actually a complete law form, jurisdiction, and venue of common law. It's not play pretend. Now, when you take an action from our court, and we did all the stuff to make the court read up on it, when you take a writ of habeas corpus ad subjiciendum to the Oregon Prison Association, Mike Reese, and present it to them, and they take the advice or counsel of the de facto Oregon State Bar, Article 7 amended judiciary, which, by the way, acquiesced and defaulted to Charlie's paper November 2022. They have no honor, that bunch. And the Department of Corrections boss, Mike Reese, former sheriff of Multnomah County. He couldn't stand up to us when he was. We served him. And then he was the chief of police prior to that, I believe. We took the same approach, lawful, legitimate, constitutional, courts write writs of habeas corpus, and jailers release the prisoners to the courts for whatever reason the court has deemed medical or what else. It's not the jailer's job to figure that out. The court did it for him. His job is to turn the key and release the man. We're having a little trouble right now in Yamhill County on that. But Sheriff Sam Elliott was gracious enough to meet with our court, and we'll see how that turns out. We hope it turns out pleasantly. We have paperwork in Washington County. Washington County doesn't seem to be able to do the job. Their recorder doesn't have the proper paperwork recorded for the sheriff, who maybe or maybe not actually did all of the work to be sheriff, and it just didn't make it to the file, and we couldn't find it. And they don't respond to public records requests when we want to establish how do you want to handle a civilian arrest in your county, because we are going to be making some arrests. We have marshals. People do bad things, and sometimes the district attorney chooses not to prosecute. We have an entirely different jurisdiction sharing the same venue in common law. We'll take care of that for the district attorney, but we need access to the jail, and we need access to the courtrooms. We have Article 7 original, and we will do it with or without a sheriff that has the proper oath. Because if you don't have the proper oath, you do not occupy the office. It's not going to happen. It's all going to be done properly on Oregon. We're not worried about other states. They have to take care of themselves. But we are definitely worried about 36 sheriffs, however many presiding judges, have to have the proper bona fides to be a judge. And part of that is they cannot be a member of the bar. They cannot have an oath prior to the oath of being judge. And they have to have the oath, the same as the sheriff, to the proper constitutions. And it has to include God and the laws of nature. And we're going to do it just exactly de jure. But we still need presiding judges. We still need clerks in those courts. But we do not need them run by the Bar Association or by the legislature out of Salem. Those are county. Those are Article 3, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Courts of Record. They are not bogus. They are not de facto. And we will have them. We don't have and haven't had a proper election. Nobody denies that. I don't even think that the Democrats think that there was a proper election, because look who got elected president. It's got to be bogus. But all of that has to be done, and we have to have district attorneys. District attorneys cannot be members of the Oregon State Bar. They cannot have an oath to a foreign organization, the British Accreditation Registry, in whatever form. Can't be. That has to be fixed. Up until, I don't know, 1925 or something, there was no problem about who was counsel. Counsel and first friend was the choice of the defendant. So we're back to sheriffs, and we have to have this done soon. We have to have it done right. And I hope William gets this up and on as soon as he can. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.